we have a very special group of people that they are never interested with investments. You know, these things that we talk about, treasury bills, treasury bonds, or shares and what have you, they just want things to do with the businesses. We kind of regard them like high risk takers and what have you, you know. And they've been telling me, hey, you know what, Joseph, how about now you talk a little bit about businesses, you know, what can one start and those kind of things. And that's why I'm making this video. And I'm picking up a random number of just 150,000. Why have I picked 150,000? This is because you find most of the people, that is the in between 100,000 all the way to 500,000. That is largely the amount of money, you know, most of the people usually have it, and they ask me, hey, what kind of a business can I start? And you can just borrow the concept here and you can apply it even you have your 10 million, 15 million, or whichever the amount of money that you have. All right. So the question is, what exactly business can you start with if you have 150,000 by your side under your name? This is Good Joseph speaking, and guess what I do? I talk about businesses, I talk about investment, savings, and anything related to exactly that. So if you would like not to miss any good videos of mine, because I upload a video every day, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure that you turn that notification bell, like the video, and comment on the comment section. All right. By the way, tell me where you're watching me from, and also input there that what business are you running as of now, and how much did you start with? Okay, the budget that we have here is 150,000. Have you ever been in a situation whereby you've tried the best as you can? Because most of the people tend to think like capital is the greatest thing that you have to look when you're starting a business. I am not trying to underplay that. That's a reality. But guess what? It is not only the factor that you have to consider, but other factors. How many here, you have the money in a bank account, but you don't know what business you can start? Actually, you tend to become more confused than you were before you had the money. Now you have the money, you're more confused what business to start. Thank you. Now I'm covering that specific thing on this video. If you have 150,000, what exactly can you, this is like 1,500 US dollars here in Kenya. What exactly business can you be able to start with this and be able to earn something? First of all, the very first question that I always ask person or people before starting that specific business, do you have emergency fund? That's, please, I repeat this. I'm about to tell you the ideas. Hold on, okay? Hold on. But before you start any given business, not even business, even investments, do you have an emergency fund set aside? That is the first thing that you're supposed to do. And if you only have this 150,000, that is the only money that you have. Take some of these for the purposes of your emergency fund. You can pick 50K for your emergency fund. All right? This is the money to cater for your needs, to pay your rent, not the rent for the shop, the rent where you live, what you eat, and how you dress, where you take it, all those kind of things, the sustainabilities. Pick that money from this. You would rather even start the business with 100,000. So when I said the budget of 150, I've assumed that you've already created the layer of protection, that is the emergency fund, so that you don't disturb the business when it starts. Are we together? Now, let's get into the business now. What businesses can you start? Number one, the first business that you can be able to start is a business that you do what? That you understand, that you have the experience, the business that you have the experience about. For example, maybe you're watching me, this particular video, and you're employed somewhere in a shop. You are selling clothes. Okay, you know everything to do with the clothing. Maybe you are selling shoes. All right, because 150,000 is enough to start you a boutique business. It's not a big one, but a quite oversizable one, like a small boutique somewhere, and you can be able to earn something. For example, if you want to send the second-hand clothing in Kenya, we have the bales that goes for 15,000, 20,000. Maybe if you can grab like 2 or 3 bales out of this money, and then you grab yourself a place whereby you can be selling from, and then you paint a little bit the place, and then you have the, you know, what do you call, the banner for advertising the business that you're running out there. There you are. You're selling your clothing. Or you can start people to what we call the sneakers business. By the way, sneaker business is doing very good here in Kenya. If you can check it out. Okay, so sneaker business, you can be able to do this if you have the experience about that. You have you know the pricing, you know the sourcing, because the very first thing that you're supposed to do before you start this business is find out where we source this. Most of the people, they usually just start the business and then they try to find out where you can source that when they already have the business running. Okay, so what you do, go to those, if you come from Kenya, if you go to Kamkunji, if you go to what do we call it, the Liver Road, if you go to Komba, if you go to Isli, we have a variety of places where you can source this particular thing that you can be able to sell to people. So clothing business can actually do good. And when I say clothing, that stretches all the way from the normal clothes we have, the sneakers, the sandals, the whatever. You can be able to do exactly that. The other thing you can be able to start with this particular amount of money, for example, is when we talk about the thing that you have an experience, the thing that you are expertise about. You have an expertise about. For example, you're watching me right now, and maybe you are, or maybe let's say you are a psychologist, maybe say you're a counselor or something of sort. By the way, this sounds crazy, but it's not. It's okay, sounds crazy until you do it. This 150,000 can get you a very nice phone. Very, very nice phone. Get yourself a stand and get yourself a lighting. You cannot even finish this money. And then from there, whatever you do, if people usually walk into your place to, or you offer them those consultancy, whatever, in psychology and whatever, or maybe you are employed by the company, you can start having an online presence. Talk about people, talk about those mental health issues, talk about the relationship, talk about the marriage, talk about this. First of all, prove to people that indeed you have the expertise and experience about, please. The mistake that people do is you take this amount of money, you go rent a place at an office. You don't need an office. And then you buy furnitures and whatever, and then there you are, you start. Don't need that. You don't. Personally, I don't have an office, by the way. I don't have an office. If today you call me and ask me where is my office, I don't have an office. My office is online. You get what I'm saying? Let the demand ask you for a physical place. That's what I always tell people. Get yourself an online presence. Let the Google Meet be your friend. Let the Zoom be your friend. Let all those particular ways of of communication where you can minimize your cost as low as you can be your friends and keep them closer. So the expertise that you do, that particular thing that you do, that particular thing that you have been employed for. By the way, there was a certain lady we were having a conversation. She has something called ECD. ECD. For those who come from Kenya, this is early childhood education and something of sort. These are the people, these are the very first people you give them, our kids, you know, to teach them and what have you. She had the was it, I think it was a certificate of the ECD and what have you. And she was asking me, Joseph, what business can I start and what have you? I asked her, what kind of a locality do you live? I live in a locality that has, do you guys have a lot of babies, you know, kids around and what have you? Yes, okay. Can you find maybe a single room or two rooms whereby you can just rent? Yes, I can. Fine. Do you know what you start with? Get yourself a single room or two rooms, and then from that particular single room or two rooms, then guess what you get? Get yourself a good television out there, get yourself a very nice carpet, and of course make sure that the place where you're renting that place has the security, and you can start a daycare. You know, when you start a daycare, these are the kids that again in future you're gonna be their teacher. You are a teacher by profession. You are a teacher. So even if you go get that certification and from the government, from the TSC, that is the Teacher Service Commission, that's what we call it here in Kenya, you have a business running. See, what they employ you for example, if you're employed as a doctor, there are two things there. There is the profession part of that industry, and there is a business part of that industry. If you're employed as a teacher, there is the education part of the business, and then there is a profession part of the teaching of it, okay? So it's you to choose. So I told her, you can start a daycare, all right? You go to your job, find a lady who, of course, has the integrity and she's upright, and of course, she'll be taking care. Even if you get 3 kids or 4 kids, you charge them maybe, let's say, 150 or 200 Kenyan shilling. You have a business running. You give it in a stretch of 1 year. Those kids, they will need to go to school. You think about that. How can I accommodate them? You know, you bring all the materials that are required. You bring a teacher or teachers who are qualified. They're registered by the government. There you are. You're having a school running. And the next time you'll find a place where you can list. And that is how school starts and what have you. I can attest to 3 people who started a school in that particular manner. Rather than you're a teacher, an ECD teacher, and then you overly go start a different thing, like you want to do something like you want to do pharmacy, you want to do health, you want to do what things that you don't understand. Because if you go to something that you don't understand, there is always what we call a learning curve. There is that learning time. Start something that you understand. And I gave an example here. Somebody who was employed in a butchery where he knew everything about the meat, whatever the thing. And then the guy got 180,000. What he did, he went and started a boutique business. Now you wonder, you know everything about this particular business on this side. Now you're going to start a whole of a new industry. And guess what happens now? The business went down because he didn't know nothing. Okay, that's something that you understand. So what I tell people, if you have that amount of money, concentrate on the, first of all, listen to this. Wherever lies the human weakness, there is a business to be made. Wherever lies where people are complaining about, there is a business to be made. What are people complaining about in your country? First of all, no matter how the economy presses people, people never shake off three things. People never shake off food, where they live, and what they dress. You can invest on what they eat. Where they live, you may not be able to have the money to start the rentals and what have you. But what they dress and what they eat, you can be able to leverage on those two things. So therefore, the very immediate thing that I always tell people that you can start about, number one, depends on the locality that you come from. If you realize that people are complaining much about the food, try to find the good sources of food and start a food-related engagement. And the food-related engagement that 150,000 shilling can start, we have a lot of things. We have the cereals with you here. We have things to do with general store here. General store is like a grocery store, you know, or convenience store where people buy the normal particular things of the household. You can actually start that general store. You know, it's like in Kenya we call it a duka or something, you know. Then the other thing that you can be able to start here, you can be able to start what we call the water refill business. You can be able to start that. If you come from a place where there is a problem with water, you know, maybe it's salty, has a lot of fluoride and what have you, you can venture into that particular thing and you can make a business out of that particular thing. Okay. And then the other thing about when it comes to business, you can start although whenever I utter this name, I usually feel like goosebump. But you can be able to start it a restaurant. You can start a restaurant. Why do you usually have goosebump? Because it's quite of a stubborn business anyway. But that one, take it with a pinch of salt, but it's a good business. If you can manage to manage that particular business, you can go ahead and start that specific thing. You can get yourself in the wholesale of things like eggs. You know, we can actually get a wholesale and see like the milk and what have you. You know, these are food related business and what have you. You can get started. By the way, did you know if you come from Kenya with this amount of money, you are able to buy yourself a portion meal? You can buy that grinder that grinds because the most staple food here in Kenya is ugali. Ugali is basically a product. It's like a fufu in West Africa, or paps in Southern African, okay? And posho if you come from Uganda, or sima if you come from Tanzania. So the thing is, you can actually buy a machine that can actually buy the maize. You can mill them, and then you have a business somewhere, and you can set it somewhere where we have quite of a huge residential place, and there you have the business. If the shops and the wholesales in the supermarket are selling that product, let's say at 120 shillings or 140 shillings, you can sell it at 100. In a business, just 20 shillings can make you, or you can have yourself a lot of clients or customers coming to your place. So the food related business, if you can venture into that, this 150,000 Kenyan shillings is enough to get yourself into this food related business. We started with the clothing business, the food related business, and then you can be able to do something. And then the other category that you can get into as far as the 150 is concerned is what I was discussing about, the service business. The service business, we can get into something like a car wash. A car wash is a business that you can get yourself into. You buy a machine. I think a good car wash machine will cost you around 40,000, 45,000 thereabout. We have the cheaper than that, but just get a quite of a reliable machine. You get yourself this, and then you find a place where you can lease. Or if you don't have the capacity to lease, then you can partner with somebody so that you can be able to lease the place. And of course, this money may not be enough to make you like a structure where, you know, you're building. It may not. It can be just an open car wash somewhere. And then there you go. By the way, I saw guys, they're doing a very unique business. They're doing mobile car wash where they're walking, or they have the car. And then, although that one is a little bit different because they already have the car with them. So they are moving from one place to the other and they're offering these services. So it is quite of a place that you can be able to get started on. So what exactly am I talking about? Under the service, again, you can get yourself in the beauty related. You can do the nails, you can do the, what do you call them, the manicure, the pedicures, you can plait the hair. You know, we can view it from the salon perspective, you can view it from a beauty shop perspective. You can also put it in together with the likes of the cosmetics and what have you. So these are just but nitty-gritties whereby you can be able to make money. But never forget this. There are three industries that I say that they are likely to make a lot of money in future. Not even likely, it's almost obvious. We have the food industry, that is the agriculture. Then we have the technology one, okay? Because technology is really picking up at a very high rate. And the last place where we can be able to, you know, or can be able to make some cash is the beauty related industry. This is where you're selling your services, or you're selling products related to beauty, and you can be able to make something at the end of the day. But the point is this: all these businesses can work, and many others that you know often even before I made this video. The question is, maybe this is the most important part. The question is, if you can identify where you come from, what exactly gap or a problem you want to fulfill in that particular place where you come from, then go ahead and offer solution to that, then you be ready to receive money out of it. Because most of the people start a business on a selfish purposes, on a selfish manner. There is nothing wrong with it, but there is something wrong if you overly rely on being selfish. Like, I want to start a business, I want to be earning this. There is nothing wrong with that, but it's always good to consider, yes, I want to make extra coin, but at the same time, what problem am I solving to these people from where I come from? And that way you'll be able to get some cash out of it. Okay, and that's why most of the people call me and ask me, Joseph, what business can I start with this amount of money? I mean, seriously, I will lie to you if I tell you start cereals, start this, start baby shop, start that one, start electronic. It depends. First of all, what I do is to lay the foundational understanding and the knowledge, the factors to consider before you come up with a business idea, so that by when you have that foundational knowledge, then by yourself you can generate an idea. By yourself you can come up with an idea. Because what we lack is not really the ideas. We do have the ideas. What we lack is the knowledge of how to actualize that particular business idea. By the way, before you even start any business, when you lay the foundation of the emergency fund, you always have the guts. You know why you're usually skeptical before you start that business? Because you don't have the emergency fund. So you're wondering, if I get into this business, this goes south, oh my goodness, then I'm gonna lose all my money, and then you're gonna get yourself into problems. So if you don't want to get yourself into that kind of a anxiety kind of a thing, first of all, lay the foundation of what we call the emergency fund, and then you can move to the next level. Anyway, that is it about this video. I'm gonna be throwing this kind of videos randomly, whereby we're gonna be talking businesses so that we can accommodate everyone. And of course, I'm bringing up a new series about videos whereby I'm gonna be talking about how can you create a business from different professionalism. If you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're what, how can you be able to make a business out of it so that you can transist from what you're doing, or from the employment to self-employment, to what we call the financial freedom. This is good, Joseph. Anyway, for now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget, if you'd like to have a conversation with me, my number is always on the description of this specific video, so you can go grab it and give me a call, and you can talk business. For now, it's a goodbye. See you the next time.